If you're not familiar with Fast University, I would definitely take a look at it. But they were doing an Instagram live where they were covering the business of track and field.
It's track is definitely a tough situation because it's one of those things where, um, if you're not very marketable to a certain extent, it's tough to make anything from this. So it's like one of those things where you're at the bottom, and like to get to a certain point where you can at least get paid a decent amount of money to make a living, you definitely have to like, find out or figure out a way how to become more marketable. And like it's one of those things where you're gonna have to either shit like try to do modeling, acting, all sorts of different stuff. Take yourself out of your comfort zone and just try to do whatever you can, to make yourself more marketable. So whenever the time comes to get like like a shoe deal and all that, it's easier to get that stuff once you become more marketable. So and you'll be able to be sell to the public a lot more easier. So I feel like I think I think once a lot of athletes do that, it'll create more of like a big buzz around this sport.
And I think it shows and shreds a light on the fact that many of our top athletes are not really being treated the way that they probably should be. And I think that there's a few different reasons for that. So one of it can be, what are the shoe brands limiting the athletes to doing? So what are things that the Nikes, the Pumas, the Adidas, the Asics, the Ons, all that type of stuff. What are the things that they're not allowing their athletes to do? New Balance. What are things they're not allowing their athletes to do? And from my perspective, don't understand why we don't have custom jerseys for each athlete. Like if you look at a professional track meet, every single athlete is wearing the exact same thing. Like Nike, all the Nike guys are wearing the same thing. Like Prefontaine Classic is the worst because every Nike athlete competes it there. They all wear the exact same outfit and is the most annoying thing. Why don't we have some more customization in there? Shoes. Why don't we have the curly ones, the Mondo ones, the Krauser ones? Let's get some spikes, get some athletes that can actually, get the name behind them, because I bet you that's going to make more money not only for the shoe companies but for the athletes as well. And so they were discussing just all these things and the issues that we have, and where it's not as fruitful as it should be. And in my mind, that's completely true. Like there are a plethora of opportunities for athletes to make more money. And I'm wondering, how much is it that these companies are not allowing them to do things? And then how much is it that some of these athletes just may not know, what they can do, because they're maybe valuing themselves a little low. Like, I mean, the fact that you can get in contact with many of these athletes, on a semi-regular basis, but you think you're getting in contact with some of these baseball players, basketball players, like hell no, you can't. And so maybe it's the valuation of what they think is too low of themselves. Like let's branch out. Let's try to see some things where you're utilizing your name, you're selling more merchandise, you're trying to become a household figure. The only household figure that we have are Usain Bolt and Sha'Carri Richardson. And so what are those two things have in common? So one, they're both very fast. Usain Bolt got his household name more off of being fast than his personality. His personality was a big thing, obviously, but the speed is what got him there. Sha'Carri Richardson, what got her there? Her speed, but I would say her personality had a bigger impact on the reason that she is bigger, because there's plenty of sprinters that are just as fast, if not faster than her, that have nowhere near the same following that she does. But she has that because of the personality that she's driving behind it. I'd love to see that for more track athletes. Like, yes, there's people are mentioning like, oh, I deserve to get this, these big contracts. And sure, like, I think you should as well. But like, what are you doing to deserve that outside of just track times? Because I'm all for you need to run fast if you want to be making money. Like, of course, if you're not running fast times, you're not going to be making your money. But I do not think that speed itself is the only thing that is going to determine how big of these contracts you're going to be getting, which lanes you're going to be pulling on these raceways. Like, a big impact of that is going to be your personality. Here's a perfect example of that. Let's take a look at Conor McGregor. So for those that don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know who Conor McGregor is, but biggest name in UFC. Like, whether you are a UFC fan or not, you know who Conor McGregor is. My dad, for example, my mom, for example, if you say, name a UFC fighter, they'll say Conor McGregor. All right, name another UFC fighter. I don't know, maybe Ronda Rousey. And these are names where Conor McGregor hasn't won since 2016, really. And Ronda Rousey hasn't been in the UFC since, 2018? So these are two names that they're this huge because of their personality that they're bringing. Whether you like it or not, they're polarizing, and that's what's important. And you see it with Sha'Carri Richardson. You have to be good. Those two were good. Sha'Carri Richardson, very good. Personality, also a huge thing. And look what she's doing. She's in Kanye music videos. She got a shout out in Drake's song. Like, she's going to these galas that you have to, with Vogue and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if she wasn't at the Oscars as well. Like, she's going to these big things. She's getting invited to be on these celebrity shows. And the reason is that she's utilizing her brand effectively. And so if I'm looking at athletes, it's like, yes, sure, I think you deserve to get paid a lot of money. What are you doing to deserve it, though? Yes, you need to run fast. Of course, you need to run fast. We've mentioned that already. But let's see what else you're doing. Are you interacting with your fan base? Are you hyping up your races? Are you releasing the schedule of the competitions you're going to be competing in before, at the beginning of the season? Like, hey, look, guys, these are the 5 meets that I'm going to be competing in. Come and watch me run. Hey, after my races, I'm going to be doing a post-race breakdown of these competitions. Hey, we're going to do a Q&A. Do you have a Patreon? You're an athlete. Do you have a Patreon where you can be making money off of people getting exclusive access into your life and learning about you? Like, what are we doing to be able to make some of this money? And I think that comes with it. All the off-the-track things are important. That's going to build your brand. So I would ask the athletes, what are we doing to facilitate our growth? Don't just expect somebody else to do it for you. Do it your own. Like, facilitate in your own rescue. Like, be the one that can get you there. And so I would say that's an important thing. I think some athletes are doing it. Some athletes are doing amazing things, and some athletes doesn't look like you are, and that's their personality trait. It's fine. You don't have to, but don't expect to be paid the multi-million dollars if you're not running fast and you don't have the personality to be interesting for fans.